quick video today on changing the spindle bearings in a Kubota Z series, the small Z series decks. I can't remember the name of these decks. I think it's RZK series deck. So they're used on a few mowers, and I think their spindle setups are pretty much the same. They're pretty basic. It's just your top and bottom bearing with a shaft in between and a collar to keep them separated. So they're just a basic. This is a 6205 bearing from memory. Yeah, 6205 2R. These are just a KO bearing that I get from the local bearing shop. Nice and solid. These are a sealed bearing. Stock from the factory. This one, I don't know if they've changed. This one had unsealed bearings in it, which they say that basically they buy them in bulk because they're cheap. And also, apparently, what I did get told was that they spin a bit faster. So you do lose, apparently you will lose, not much, but a little bit blade tip speed by going to a sealed bearing, but they last pretty good. This mower gets abused. It's not a nice, it's not getting used on nice lawns anymore. Like this thing is just being used on stuff that's like head high, shoulder high, like it just gets flogged. And so I'm not too sad about having to do these. This is probably the second lot I've done. The original's flogged out on that one. So I replaced those because it was like a long weekend. I just replaced one spindle. Then I did the other two a couple months later. Now it's the middle one that's gone this time. I hit something pretty hard. The blades on this are feral. Like I really probably don't want to show them because they're pretty bad. What happened was I must have hit something and it's basically started to, the blade was unbalanced and it's, come loose. It was only just doing slash jobs during the drought. So mowing in sand, I don't expect these to last forever either. But overall, this deck's got no baffles in it, nothing to restrict it. For a 22 horsepower mower, it does handle some pretty good stuff. It's up to 358 hours now, so that's pretty good. Cost us a little bit of money in some repairs, but mainly self-inflicted from me not maintaining it enough, which is basically the carby had to get pulled off and ultrasonically cleaned because it got dirt in it, which is apparently a common problem with the 44 CID series Briggs and Stratton engines because they don't have a cyclonic air filter. They have the old cartridge style. Basically, since we had that problem, we put a second fuel filter in, so there's one pre-fuel pump and one post-fuel pump. So right before it goes into the carby, it goes through another fuel filter. And also when we put new air filters in, we put grease on the inside of the air filter so it seals with the lip of the inlet to the carby. So other than that, that motor's been fantastic. It's a domestic mower. It's not built for commercial use and it's not built to do what I do with it. So, it's getting flogged. If I get to 500 hours and the motor dies or the deck just completely falls apart, it's earned its money. It's done way more work than I ever expected it to do. And, especially working in sand, nothing lasts forever anyway. So, I'm about due for an idler. That's probably a set of idler pulleys. They're not too bad. They've got a little bit of play in them. But, so this middle bearing here, it feels like the bottom one's about to go. So, you can see there, there's noticeable movement in that. This one's not too bad, and this one's not too bad as well. So, it's funny that that one's gone, but I'm pretty sure I hit a stump. That's why that's gone. So, pretty easy. I don't take the blades off first. I'll rattle this top nut off, put it back on, and just tap it with the dead blow mallet. So all you really need, you do need a good rattle gun. I tried to get these off with a Ryobi impact driver and a socket adapter in it, which is what I used to use to change the blades, but it didn't have enough curry, it just couldn't handle it. So I've got the Milwaukee 1/2" fuel impact driver. That thing will rattle off anything. I've got the 3/4 gun, but I've never used it. It's literally sat on the shelf for 2.5 years because it's just I've never needed anything bigger. 24mm socket. That's just a deep one because that's all I have. And a 30mm one to go on the blades. I would not do it with a chrome socket because I reckon you'll just blow it up because these can be really tight. They've been off a couple of times now, so they're not too bad. I'll put a bit of WD on them as well. I'd recommend having a good socket. and a good impact driver. I wouldn't bother attempting it if you don't have it. I'd just take, what I originally did was took the whole spindle out before I bought the Milwaukee, took it to my local dealer, and he just rattled the nuts off for me. Done, like piece of cake. The spindle housings are all still fine. I've got a couple of cracks in the deck. Just looks like where the sand's been wearing away at it, so it's not too bad. But yeah, so I'm going to pull those, I'll rattle all these nuts off, and then yeah, go from there. It's pretty easy, it's pretty quick. So I'll scoot through it and we'll see how we go. What you need to do it, so got everything here. Got 6 bearings. So yeah, obviously one top and bottom on each spindle, 3 spindles. 30mm socket for the blades. Proper impact socket. Good impact driver. Almost full of battery. 2 impact sockets. Dead blow mallet. And just got a few different punches there, just to tap the bearings out. I just got these long ones, they're only cheap. They do the job. So anyway, I'll rattle these off and we'll see how we go. So, that little shaft, right, pull that off, tap that bearing off. Ugh. It's on there, it's pretty tight. I might rattle that nut off. There's a lot of crap on there. It's like fishing wire by the looks of it, I think. Alright, so this bearing's almost gone too. Actually, it's really stiff. And it's like you can feel it's really crunchy. So punch that off. Alright, so that's come loose now. So I think you can probably see in the video there. You can see that bearing was like, yeah, it's pretty old. Yeah. Yeah, so like it's noticeably worn on the top. The seals are all pushed in. Like that's not turning any good either. You can feel it. It's real stiff versus that. Like you can hear it too. But that's nice and smooth. All right. So let's get these other ones out, and then we're right to go. Alright, now that's why that one wouldn't come out. It is just absolutely corroded on the outside, well and truly. So yeah, that was a real mongrel to get out. So what I end up doing, I'm going to put it, that's a piece of like, I don't know, 20mm, 25mm steel bar, nice and thick. So that basically just sat right on it. That's an old bearing there. Yeah, you can see that there. Just sits right on the end. It pushed it through. But that was, yeah, that was a battle. So I'll just give these a good clean out. I like to chuck the bottom one in first, because then you got these little collets or whatever you call them. These then sit on top. So if I chuck these in first, then the shaft, and sort of locate, and just use the shaft like to locate that. So I'll probably, what I'll do, I might assemble these like that. So that's how they run. I could be wrong. From what I could find, that's how they work. So that, it's kind of tapered. It's hard to see there. I don't know if you can see that. It's got that tapering. So the bearing sits close to that. and then that tapering kind of locks it into the housing so no crap gets in there. I could be wrong, I'm not a mechanic, but yeah. So anyway, so that's how they look. That goes in there like that. You slide it through, push your top bearing, and then that's how it looks. So they're super basic. They don't last forever. I don't think the blades on these are the right width, but you'd never probably run an X blade kit or anything like this. So we've got that on the right stander. But those spindles are super heavy duty. They're rebuildable too, but they're built to take a bit extra, extra weight. These, one blade I think is pretty good. And I mean, these got a lot of load on them. They get bloody hot, so they're not going to last forever. But anyway, so we'll stick the first one. I'm going to set the nice and flush. So that's in there now, and that's nice and smooth, no mucking around. That on the top like that. My big washers. Nice big flat washer on there like that. And I'll just do these up here and tight. And then so there's not probably. I'd say there'll be a torque that you're supposed to spec those to. I don't have a torque wrench. It's probably not what I should be really saying, but I'll just do these up roughly hand tight. So I'll do them up with a breaker bar, so they'll be fairly tight. But obviously once you do them up, it'll drive itself home. So obviously torque those if you can find the torque specs. I couldn't find them, but if you can, torque them up properly if you got the gear to do it. So I'll do the middle one. Same thing, I'll put this one in first. There's still a little bit of WD sitting in there, so that's nice and lubed up. So that was nice and flush. That one must have just had some crap underneath it. It was just a bit tight to get back in, but that's all gone in nicely. Alright, so that's all them back in. Nice and smooth there. Nice and smooth there. Nice and smooth there. Obviously, like I said, probably better to, get some torque specs on them and torque them up, but that's the way I've done them both times. You just do them up. Make sure you're not going over tight. Mind you, these will, because the shaft is perfectly matched to the gap that the bearings need to be, so once that tightens up, that shaft basically, is sitting on those two middle, the center of the bearing there. So it's sitting on, it's sitting on that part there. So obviously that one was a nightmare to get back in. I don't know what the go is there. I think it's they're just because it's the second time I've done them, they're starting to get a little bit, a little bit of crap build up behind them. So I tried a million different things. I end up getting a piece of wood, putting it on top, hitting it in. That one went in alright. That one was a nightmare. So the 2 outside ones, which probably that one explains it too, because that one gets a lot of load on it, obviously being the discharge side. But yeah, so you can see this deck, she's pretty rough. But anyway, I'm not a mechanic, I'm not an expert, but I've pulled them apart and done them twice. That's how I've done them each time. I haven't had any problems in between. I think you just got to have a bit of patience getting them out, because they're obviously pretty. They get jammed in there pretty good. You could probably soak them with some Penetrol or something overnight, and then they'll probably tap out real easy. Then I'm not going to put this deck back on. It's pretty easy to get it off. You basically undo the 4 ring clips on each side. Take the weight off the deck. I just put my boot under it, bash each pin out, let that side drop, lift that side up, pin out, and take the belt off, slide it out. So I'm going to put a new belt. I'm going to put a new deck belt on this. And yeah, I'm waiting for blades to turn up, obviously. So I'll put the blades on, then I'll put it underneath again. But yeah, pretty easy. You know, like, they're pretty basic deck. Obviously, yeah, they're not going to, like these spindles, obviously, they're not going to last 500 hours. Probably alright if you're mowing normal conditions, but yeah, they're just super savage what I'm doing with this thing. So, like I said, it's only doing crap, you know, pretty crap jobs now. Like, it's not doing nice lawns, so I'm just going to use this as a spare, and for doing, you know, vacant blocks or, you know, pretty rough cleanups, feral cleanups, that sort of thing. Just use it till it falls apart now. So obviously, like, you can see my scalp rollers. Like, I mean, they only last like 20 hours and they're stuffed. They're just like, they always seem to be running on the ground. They're on the highest setting, and even then they're, you know, like, they were like that after like 20 hours. So I haven't even bothered replacing them yet. But might try and get some heavy duty ones or some greasable ones or something. But yeah, happy days. So should be good to go. Obviously, yeah, there's probably better ways to do this, but that's just a basic way of doing it. If you've never pulled a spindle apart, they're pretty simple. They're not tapered bearings. Yeah, everything's just basic. They're basic. They're made to be pretty reliable and easy to fix. I don't run covers on this either. I had a lot of crap get built up under this when it was mulching. So yeah, pissed that off a long time ago. But otherwise, you could pull the spindles out probably too. I mean, it's only 4 bolts. But for me, I just find it's just as easy to leave them in there, because I don't have a bench to put those spindles on and, you know, belt them. So just as easy to leave it in the deck. But anyway, happy days. We'll see how it goes. Might get a video of it when it's up and running again. But anyway, happy mowing.